Let's do this.
I'm ready for some fun, baby.
Hey, man. Welcome to the Big Bad Broadcast, dude.
I'm Will Danger with breaking not real news, standing outside Doogie Howser Middle School where tragedy has unfolded. Earlier this morning, an unidentified person entered the school with an arsenal of books that left 4 children trans and another 12 students and faculty hospitalized from woke-related trauma. The reader was armed with novels like This Book is Gay, Genderqueer, and The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. One faculty member had this to say about the mass reading. It was pure chaos. I was left contemplating how gender norms and racism have played a role in shaping American history and society. I'm very uncomfortable. In response, the National Book Association has released a statement offering their thoughts and prayers while at the same time doubling down that, quote, books don't queer people. Still, a community is left wondering, when will the wokeness end?
Good afternoon and welcome to the Big Bad Broadcast. We are everywhere. We are on the podcast playground. We are on Apple Podcast. We are on everything you can get your podcast.
But when will the wokeness end, John? When?
Well, where are we, John? Seriously,
We are everywhere. We are on the podcast playground. We are with Shaq.
We are
this whole
with the big man Shaq.
Let me introduce you. That's Mike Reef down there and Cognito with his hat, his glasses. You can hardly see his face. And then up above, we have Craig.
We're doing audio podcast. They don't have to see my face.
He's describing it like a radio announcer. Let him go.
That's right. And then we have Craig Mitchell up there wearing his hat. That hat looks a little small on you. You kind of look like Mr. Potato Head.
I am Mr. Potato Head.
You can't arrange his face. You didn't know that, John? His nose and ears and shit. You can just move them around on Craig.
Kids are sticking body parts in me all day. Oh, no.
No. You remember when Mr. Potato Head had a real potato for a head, not that plastic thing?
Yeah, and you had like little, and you stuck it with ears.
And then when you were done playing with him, you could fry him up. He was delicious.
You probably fried him up with all of the eyes and everything on him.
You're cannibals.
Who was frozen now? Was that me or you? Because I just froze up. I don't know if you heard me.
And we heard you.
Oh, okay.
What'd you say?
Huh?
I said Mr. Potato Head was delicious after you got done playing with him. Oh, okay.
Yes. And then I said you probably fried him up with the eyes and the nose and the ears on him.
Yeah, let's just say everything twice. We'll be fine.
Mike is frozen again.
He is, but it's okay. He'll be come on for there. He is.
There he goes.
Hey, I'm back.
So this whole woke thing is really annoying. It's so annoying. I saw this. This I cannot think of his name. Black reporter, very intelligent on CNN, and he was saying that
OJ
woke was actually a terminology that black people used to use to each other. Like if you were black and you were going to say Georgia, where that was really racially sensitive, they would go, if you go there, man, make sure you be woke, which means this be aware,
Well, I think that's what the same thing woke means now. Just be aware. It's about being enlightened. It's about being aware. It's about
being woke.
There are people that want to make it sound like it's
equal rights for the LGBT element of peace.
And not only for women, for everyone.
Anti-Semitic, black. Yeah. I mean, you really wouldn't want to be anti-woke. It's ridiculous.
But don't you agree it's going to extremes at this point now? It's getting to the point where it's too woke.
I'm sorry. It's a touch word. It's a touch word for stupid people.
I don't think it'll ever be too woke.
Just say, hey, we're anti-woke.
I disagrey.
I think it can never be too woke. I think
especially for us, we're comedians. It's getting too woke. We have to watch every word we say on stage. I think
woke is a right-wing term that uses to induce fear, and that's why I say we can.
And I will never watch what I say on stage, and I don't care, because if you get offended, if you're in the audience and you get offended, then you shouldn't have come to a comedy club because you're a fucking idiot. If you're coming out to laugh,
people don't think
laugh.
That way anymore now. Now they think we have to.
It's not like I'm trying to make you laugh. I don't give a shit about your real. I'm not exposing my real political or my real world. It's called a comedy club, not a philosophy shop. Get the
people don't treat it that way.
Though. You can't laugh.
That's where being woke or being I don't know.
But you see, that's why you can't give fuel. You can't give fuel to stupid people, though. That's who cares. Let them.
I
think
saw
whatever
this
they
interview.
want.
They interview these people going into Trump rallies, and they were asking them now, what does woke mean? And this guy goes, if you take the letters and you turn them upside down and look in a mirror, it spells out 666. It's a message from the devil.
Wow, I sure hope so.
Like, these people shouldn't be allowed to vote or breathe.
Well, there's no qualifications to vote aside from age.
I mean, like George Carlin's quote was, take a look around with all the stupid people you see in the world. Just remember, that's only half of them.
That's right. This is to all the stupid people.
And I believe Facebook and TikTok and Twitter have just let them come out of the crap in society.
Listen, do you think that this is new? Do you think these stupid people are new? They've been around forever. It's just that now you know more about them because they're being more vocal.
Because they used to hide in their basement.
Like that Isaac Asimov quote. It's that Isaac Asimov quote. It's like people think that their stupidity is equal to somebody else's intelligence, and it's not. No, you don't have equal say. You don't have, I'm sorry. It's just, do you want a moron leading the world, or do you want somebody who's smart, intelligent, experienced, or do you want somebody who, just because he says what
Well, stupid people don't know they're stupid.
No, stupid people don't know. Insane people don't know they're insane.
No, exactly. When I used to have anxiety attacks years ago, and I'd always be afraid, like I was going crazy.
What were you afraid of, John? Gorillas?
I was afraid of going crazy.
What? Afraid of going crazy?
Yeah, when I had anxiety attacks, I felt like I was losing my mind. And I remember the psychologist said to me, crazy people don't even know they're crazy. They don't care about being crazy. The fact that you're afraid about being crazy means you're not crazy.
Means you're not crazy. Wow, that's deep, man. That's deep. Does that work for like killers? If you think you're a serial killer, but you're not sure because you have dreams about freaking killing people and you're not sure, but so you thought about it, so that means I'm not a serial killer.
No, you're not.
You just knocked us on our ass with that, Mike. So Mike, tell us more about these dreams you have. You have dreams that you are hurting people. That's my Sigmund Freud. So tell me about these dreams.
Tell me about these dreams. Was your mother in these dreams?
That's because no one really knows what Siegfried Roy sounds like. Siegfried Roy.
No, see, I
can't tell him a magician. You can't tell him a magician.
I did Joey Freud. I'm like Sigmund Freud from like fucking Brooklyn. How you doing? Was your mother in the dream? Was your mother here? All right.
Siegfried Freud.
That's fucking hilarious. No, it's
that would be a good character. That would be a good character for Saturday Night Live. Siegfried Roy.
A combination
tell the tiger the truth.
Do you have a tiger in your dreams?
No, but that's Arnold Schwarzenegger, Siegfried Roy. There you go. Where's that tiger?
That's why he talked.
He'll be bad.
That's German. I don't know.
He's German.
My opinion is that Roy was holding Siegfried back anyway, because come on, it's like Siegfried. You got this magnificent name, and then a guy named Roy. It's like, why not just have him Bob? Siegfried and Bob. Siegfried and Bob. How you doing?
That makes kind of sense. But you're talking about
it's like Einstein and Claude.
Yeah. It's like if Einstein's first name was like freaking Frankie Einstein. Would you take him seriously?
Now, isn't it cool that we have Neil Armstrong was the first man to step on the moon? Can you imagine if it was Bob Miller? All right, Bob Miller, or something like,
Hey,
something. Robert Klein used to do a thing that he was not very bright because he could have been the richest man in the world. He could have said, "One step for mankind, drink Coca-Cola."
Coca-Cola, the most popular drink on the moon. He would have been right.
I mean, look at people's names with the jobs they've had, like Dick Butkus.
Yep.
I mean, that's like the best football name of all times.
Well, why would
it's also my fantasy, if you think about it.
Dick Butkus, there you go. What I want to know is how is Dick short for Richard? How do you get Dick out of Richard?
I don't know.
I guess you got to pull really hard.
Well, I always wondered about Dick Butkus. If his parents were dyslexic, his name would have been Ass Kiss Dick.
Oh man,
He's a tough guy, man.
we've traveled
Dude,
down a weird path, man.
I love football. I love Dick Butkus. I mean, you hear stories about how ruthless he was.
Well, I have a story from a guy. Do you know who Nick? Oh, I was gonna say Verminsky.
Nick. Oh, Nick, that guy, the guy with the arms and hands,
No,
right?
Nick. Oh, I can never think of this guy's name. He was considered one of the toughest guys in football.
In football.
Oh,
no.
yeah, I know
Nick?
who you're talking about. Nick. Not
I don't know a Nick.
I know
you gotta look it up. Anyway,
I
I was
like
on
Lyle Alzado was the
I was
toughest.
on an NFL Legends cruise, and he was on this Nick, and basically he was sitting next to this new young receiver who had these two giant diamond earrings, and Nick just stood there with a brown T-shirt on and said, "Nick never wore an earring," which I thought was really funny. So he tells the story that Dick Butkus came to training camp, and he said that they came to training camp, and in those days they played the same position, so it was like the new guy against the veteran.
Right.
And he said, he goes, I'm going to teach this kid a lesson, So I fire out, I hit him, and I hit him. He goes, possibly hard as I've ever hit anybody in my life. And I look up and he's on top of me, looking straight down. And I'm thinking, wow, he got the better of me. And I look him in the eyes and I go, hey, nice shot, rookie. And he goes, and clams in my face. He goes, I go insane. He goes, I go absolutely insane. And he goes, so the next play, he goes, I'm gonna kill him. He goes, that is my plan. I am gonna kill him. I'm gonna hurt him. He is dead. He goes, I hit him really hard. He gets up, jumps up to his feet. He goes, I got the worst of the hit. I'm finally getting up. He goes, then he starts taunting me. Hey, Nick, you okay? Nick, you all right? Nick, you sure you're okay? I'm going, and he goes, it's relentless. And he's standing next to me, Nick, you sure you're okay, man? And I go, yeah, I'm okay. Why do you keep saying that? He goes, Nick, you're in the wrong huddle.
Oh, that's oh, Butkus is the best, man.
Well,
and then he turned out to be
pretty good.
And then he turned out to be a pretty good actor too. I mean, he's done some fun stuff.
Oh, I loved him in Victoria. Right? It was not Dick Butkus. That was Alex Karras. Sorry, yes.
Well, no, okay. Well, maybe he doesn't have the resume of Alex Karras, but he was
also who was also Mongo, right? Alex Karras was
Mongo straight.
Mongo just porn in Game of Life.
But he let's see, Butkus headlined the movie Hamburger the Movie.
Yeah.
Wasn't that? I think he was in Cannonball Run. Cannonball Run, but he was on the TV show Blue Thunder, My Two Dads. So he had a good career.
Alex Karras. Oh no, well Butkus too. Yeah, I mean a lot of these. Listen, if you were a lot of these famous sports guys could have, if they could act at all, they could have a good career because I mean they were already famous. People loved them. What did it hurt by putting them in? You just nothing but bonus points,
But the fact, just because of their fame on the sports field, they got them into the world of entertainment. One kind of led to the other because they had a
even Joe Namath did a movie, right? Didn't he do that motorcycle movie?
CC and Company.
Yeah.
With Ann Margaret. What a piece of crap that movie
well,
is.
If Ann Margaret was in it, it had to have some.
And I think he dated Ann Margaret after the movie.
He had a TV series too called The Waverly Wonders, where he was a basketball coach. At least make it football. Why make it basketball? I never understood that one.
Oh well, they wanted to go against stereotypes.
I saw him live in 1979 at Jones Beach Theater. He played Joe in Damn Yankees, so he sang. I should say, he tried to sing. But he was.
Meanwhile, he was in that show for 5 years.
What?
I don't know. All I know is
South Pacific. He's South Pacific. He was in too.
So he was in South Pacific.
Yeah.
Joe Namath.
Really?
Yeah.
You're just cashing in on that fame. I mean, listen. I guess you can't blame some guys. I remember his commercials and stuff. It's like you got to cash in while you're famous. If you only have a certain window of opportunity, I don't care who you are. You've only got a certain amount of years that you can cash in on that fame. So you got to do it.
That was his famous commercial, was when he was wearing the pantyhose.
Yeah. And he hated that. All he talked about is how he hated doing that commercial.
It made him like an icon.
They talked him
Which one was that? I remember the one when he was
He was in pantyhose, for legs pantyhose.
They
it starts on his feet and it pans up and he goes, if these pantyhose could make my legs look this good, how would they make your legs look?
It was an amazing commercial. It was fantastic.
Hated it.
He said he got his balls busted everywhere he went.
And right now he'd be boycotted. Legs would be boycotted right now because of their woke thing.
The woke agenda.
Nick Ninsky.
I'm woke.
Ninsky.
Yeah, Nick.
Right?
Yeah, he was in The Longest Yard. Nick, that guy.
What did he play in The Longest Yard? Was he that big, tall? Not the big, tall guy. Was he the karate guy?
He was bald. That's all I know. I think he
bald
might have been
karate guy. Yeah, he was the toughest guy in the prison. He's the one that broke the big, tall guy's nose. He broke my freaking nose. I think he broke his fucking nose.
I love when Burt Reynolds throws a football into the guy's crotch. He goes, "Let's do it. Worked the first time. Let's do it again."
Yeah, great movie.
John is researching. John is researching something.
We should do that. We should do it. We should do the emails we got, man. We got all those emails, those fan emails. If you want to, or are you going to save those?
Well, we will talk about it. You came up with a couple of stories, right?
I heard a story.
Well, I was good. Do your.
No, this story. This is not a big story.
Is it about a man named Jed?
What?
Is it about a man named Jed?
Yeah, it's about a man named Jed. Poor mountain barely kept the family fed. No, this dog in Louisiana is now in the Guinness Book of World Records because he has the world's longest tongue for a dog. It's 5 inches long. It hangs 5 inches out of his mouth. And I'm thinking, first of all, who cares? Second of all, why did this become a thing? But third of all, with that dog, the bitches, they be coming. Anyway.
I want to know who stands there and measures a dog's fucking tongue.
It's true. You know? It's in the news. He has a 5-inch tongue. And that's like a world record.
So does Tony Camacho.
Yeah.
Tony Camacho.
Oh, tell me you've never seen Tony Camacho's tongue.
No, I've never seen Tony Camacho's tongue.
Oh my God. That's all Tony Camacho can lick his eyebrows.
Come on.
I swear to God.
Well, there are people like that.
It's like the biggest joke. I can't believe everyone in my generation of comedy knows Tony's tongue.
I actually never met Tony Camacho, so
I met Tony Camacho, but I wish I knew him better now.
People used to go, Tony, let me see your tongue. And all of a sudden you go,
get out of here.
Big roast beef.
Like an elephant trunk.
I don't know if that's a turn on or a turn off.
Be honest.
Well, on a woman it would be kind of a turn on, I guess.
I'm into it.
I don't know. Anyway, who the hell sits there and measures?
Now I'm laughing at something totally different. There was a very famous magician from England called Tommy Cooper, and Tommy Cooper had a show on every night. He was beloved in England.
Wasn't that famous? I never heard of him.
Like Johnny Carson.
You've heard of his brother Minnie?
Listen, he was in love. He was on every night with Johnny Carson. He did an hour TV show every night, and my phone is ringing. And he was a big guy, looked like Dave Hawthorne. He wore a fez with the tassel hanging in front of his eyes. And he did absolutely no magic whatsoever. It was the funniest thing. And he would.
It sounds like freaking Chips Cooney.
Yeah.
Yeah. No
magic whatsoever. Or Carl Ballantine.
He would have 2 beautiful women come out, and then they'd push out like a gate. And they'd spin the gate around like an illusion, and then they would open up and he'd walk through it. Or they'd bring out a box, right? And they'd go, solid, solid, solid. And he'd get inside the box, close the curtain behind him, and come diving out on the floor. And he goes, oh, it's too dark in there. Right? And so his legacy is they put him in a bag on a BBC special, and they tied the bag
closed. They beat him with bats?
They tied the bag closed, and he had a heart attack and died.
No.
And they dragged the bag underneath the curtain. And the guy came out and said, we have to inform you that the show can't go on. Tommy Cooper has passed away. And the crowd went wild laughing. They couldn't stop laughing. And for 3 days.
But at the funeral, the guy jumped up and went.
And for 3 days, everyone kept waiting for him to reappear. No one believed he was dead. But every time I hear that expression is he does this bit about this guy. He goes, so this guy, he had a nose, and it was a big nose. And he takes out this foam rubber nose about 6 inches. He holds it in front of his nose. And he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, what are you here for? And he said, it's me nose. And it was a big nose, and it was more like this. And he puts it down his nose like 12 inches, big foam nose. And it keeps getting bigger and bigger. So the guy goes, well, I can fix your nose for like $300. He goes, $300? That's outrageous. So he goes, well, a vet up the street can probably do it for $25. And it was a big nose. And now the nose is like 3 feet long on his face. It looks like a big penis. So he walks into the vet, and the vet goes, what are you here for? He goes, it's my nose. And it was a big nose. He picks out one, and he's laughing so hard while he's telling the story, he can't even talk. And the vet looked at him and said, well, if you hold the nose above your mouth, you can talk better. Right? So anyway, he goes, I can fix your nose for $15. And he wakes up, and he turns around, and he's got this elephant trunk that goes to the ground. And he goes home, and it's just such English humor. So he goes home, and he's parading around, like posing with this big elephant trunk on his face. And his wife comes in, and he looks at his wife, and he goes, are you honest? Which is funny, and then the whole punchline to the joke, and she goes, I like it. I really like it. And then the joke sucks. They go to the opera, and all night long she's hearing this snorting noise, and she goes, would you stop that? She goes, stop sniffing like that. He goes, I'm not sniffing, I'm looking for peanuts. It's like the joke. But every time I hear that, be honest, it's a gut laugh. Anyone who sees it's a gut laugh, but he just sits there and goes, be honest.
I'll have to take your word for that, John.
It's really funny. Look up. Okay, for everybody listening that thinks I'm nuts.
I don't
for
think
your
I
homework,
will.
go on YouTube and look up Tommy Cooper Big Nose. Every
Big
person I've
nose.
said,
Look up
He died like who's that American?
They'll probably come up with some pornography or something.
Like Dick
no,
Shawn.
Tommy Cooper Big Nose.
Dick Shawn had a
He
heart
died on
attack
stage. Dick Shawn
and
died on
people thought it was
stage?
part of the act too.
Yeah, but hey, listen, as a performer, like, isn't that the dream? If you're gonna if you gotta go right in front of the audience, man. Go with a big laugh.
And one thing that a lot of people don't know about Abbott and Costello, Abbott was a epileptic, and they actually had a thing built into the act that if he had a seizure, that Lou Costello was to punch him in the stomach to make it look like it's part of the act. And so he would fall on the floor.
Wow.
And
Now that's a commitment to a bit. That's commitment. See, Abbott and Costello had that kind of commitment. You know,
when we had Chris
They're still
Costello
copied
on, we
today.
should have mentioned that. But
yeah, that's true. We had.
I always wondered if that was 100% true.
Yeah, we've had the legends on the show. So
I got
a story
right here for John. I got a question.
Yep.
This is for John. And okay, this is from Katie from Sunrise, Florida. It's in Florida. There you go. So hey, Katie.
It's a Florida. So prepare for a Florida question.
Right. So and here's a question for John. What was the first trick you ever learned?
The first trick you ever learned. His name was Bob.
His name was Bob. He was on the corner of Prospect Avenue and Newbridge Road.
First trick I ever learned was I was 7 years old, and I was in the hospital, and my grandfather bought me this huge magic set that was literally half the size of a hospital bed.
Wow.
And inside it had a genie laying on a bed and a sword, and you cut the genie in half.
What was the genie? What was the genie?
It's like a big plastic genie.
Right.
It was solid, and it did something with
so like a doll.
How it worked. Yeah,
so was like a doll.
And it had this big samurai like sword, and you could put it and you would saw it, and it was something to do with a magnet. I don't remember how it worked, but it looked just like a sawing the lady in half. And then when you put it back together, you could hand it, and it didn't look like it would come apart. I was fascinated with
And
it.
that's what hooked you. And that's what hooked you on for a lifetime of
that was
magic.
your first trick.
Was that first set? Your grandfather gave you
I always
magic set.
I always loved magic. Yeah, I always loved magic. In fact,
That
I've
is-
looked for that magic set for years because if I ever could find one again, I would buy it.
Do you
Meanwhile,
remember
just
the
a
name of
side
it? Do
note,
you
I
remember
put in
the name of
Tommy
it?
Cooper, my nose, and Google, and it comes up about 50 times.
Cool.
So look
But,
it up.
but you know what that reminds me
That
of?
shows you
John?
how bored people really are.
It's great.
That reminds me of the time where of the movie, the Incredible Burt Wonderstone. That's how he gets magic for his birthday. His mother gives him the magic thing with the tape.
Every time
that's how most magicians get interested in magic.
Every time I watch that movie, I think of Silky and I as kids.
Yeah,
With the notebook and the whole bit.
Well, you know, I when we were kids,
well, if we're doing, go ahead. I'm sorry.
60s and 70s, in the 60s and 70s, what I don't have the dexterity, but TV magic cards were huge. The commercial, they were being advertised constantly, and we bought them, and I just couldn't figure them out. It was like, you know, like Chinese.
I said, I just remember that, like I said, and John said something about it, that stupid little fuzzy worm thing that came with a string, and you're supposed to put it on your button on your shirt, and that's
right.
That's the only.
That was one.
magic thing
Okay,
I kind of remember as a kid.
There's scam magic too. Like that was one of the scam things because those cost like I think 5 cents each to this day, and they sell them for like $2 and $3 because
what are they called?
Because if you do it right, it's a miracle. You know, it's a miracle. It goes around pencils, it goes in your pocket, it comes out, it looks really alive. And those TV magic cards were actually a thing called a Svengali deck.
Oh, okay.
And you get those Svengali decks probably for if you buy enough of them, like $1.50. And I mean, there was a guy in front of the magic store in Key West. He just had a little table, and he would do like, with this deck, he had a whole pitch. With this deck, you can do 50 amazing card tricks. You can do this. And he'd just rattle off 10 tricks, and he'd go, now who wants one of these? $20 a deck. And man, every single person at that table would buy one.
Wow.
Right.
You know, it's it's called pitchman magic, you know, like you're a pitchman for it.
Well, see, that's pretty cool that you knew kind of what you loved and what you wanted from that early age. No,
at 7 years old. So I was always interested in magic, not to get boring here, like, because would I have to go to the library? So I'd always find a book on magic. Anytime there was a magician on Ed Sullivan, I'd have to watch the magician. I was really fascinated by magic, but had really no desire of doing it. And then it wasn't until I was like 24 years old that a friend of mine, we were talking, and I was telling him about the magic set that my grandfather gave me when I was 7 years old. And for my birthday, he gave me this little kid's magic set. And I started playing with the tricks in it at 24 years old, playing with this little kid's magic set. And then I was showing magic, and someone said, you know, there's a professional magic store in Hicksville, at the Hicksville Mall. And I go, what's it called?
Long Island. Welcome.
He goes, what's it called? And he goes, the Magic Shop.
I've been there.
So I went there, and at the time I was working in the hospital, I'd making good money. I was like a kid in a toy store. I couldn't believe it. And then I became like the house magician there. And then I taught magic at Hofstra and at Delphi, and I became the magician of the New York Islanders. And yeah, it was crazy. Crazy stuff.
And the rest
is I remember the TV magic cards, and when I did get a box of those magic things, and there's this little black thing that you put a nickel in it, and you would slide it, and the nickel would disappear. It disappears.
Drawer box.
I remember that stuff, and all that. So, but I never had the dexterity for it, or it was beyond me. I didn't have the commitment to train and do all that stuff. So it's
next
hard.
time I'm at the Magic Castle and you guys come, you got to go see some of the close-up guys that they have there.
Oh, I do. That's my favorite stuff.
Some of them are just.
I love that close-up stuff.
There was a guy. There's a bartender that works at the castle, who is just absolutely incredible, and he works at the ski resort. He's worked there as a bartender for like 16 years. He had Chris sit at the bar, and he takes out a deck of cards, and he goes, take a card, look at it, show everyone at the bar, put it back in the deck, hand me the deck. And then he goes, oh, here's the deck, find the card. It's not in there. He goes, lift up your elbow. It's under her elbow. Then he goes, I'm putting it back in. He goes, give me back the card. It was under her drink. This went on like 20 times. And I'm watching for it and I don't see it.
Wow.
So he shows his derby empty and he puts it on the bar. And he goes, "Where's your card now?" And she goes, "It's under the derby." And he goes, "No, it's a giant olive." He lifts up the thing and there was a glass olive like the size of a volleyball.
Wow.
Then he puts the hat down and she goes, "There now." He goes, "No, it's another olive." He's loading these things right in front of it and you just can't see them. Amazing.
Right.
Those guys are incredible.
Speaking of the Magic
that's the
Castle,
beauty of it. See, if it didn't,
go ahead, Mike.
I'm saying if it didn't work, then nobody would go. You know, I mean, that close-up magic is amazing. I mean, I love the stuff that you do on the big stage, but I love going into those little rooms, those little intimate rooms, and have these guys just do that right in front of your, right in front of your face.
It's amazing. That's why I do enough close-up just so if I'm somewhere and someone goes, "Hey, can you show me a magic trick?" I can do a little bit of close-up, but
See, I do the magic. I like fucking just say, "Okay, look at this thing. Now turn your head." I said, "Turn your fucking head." They turn their head. I switch it out and I go, "See, that's magic, right? Tell me that's not magic."
It's magic. But speaking of the Magic Castle, though, we should recognize that Milt Larson passed away.
The founder of the Magic Castle. And for anyone who doesn't know, the Magic Castle is this incredible place down in Hollywood. It's an
on
exclusive
Franklin
club.
Avenue.
You actually have to be invited to go. You can't just walk in for dinner and a show.
It's a private
you have
club.
to know somebody. It's a private club. And you get the most amazing magicians. And I mean, it's like an honor. Like almost any magician would be honored to go there. And John plays there regularly because they feel sorry for him. And
sorry for him.
He's just that good, So.
Milt actually came to my show every time I was there.
Wow.
I know his daughter too. I mean, his granddaughter, Erica and Liberty. Really nice.
I felt bad because it's he has a great history.
I got an email.
Wait. As long as we're on the magic subject, if anybody's going to Vegas, a good friend of ours from the show, Michael Carbonaro.
He's going on the Carbonaro Effect.
He's going to be at the Penn and Teller Theater at the Rio in Las Vegas, and he's there from May 25th to July 2nd.
Oh, that's
and
great.
It's an amazing
Mike
show.
We've sent you, and they'll let you in for full price.
Yeah,
it's an amazing show. And the name of the show is Lies on Stage.
Lies on Stage. He's hilarious, man. He's great. He's very talented. Very good.
He's just a good guy, funny guy.
Yeah.
So you got a question there, Mikey? He's frozen.
He's frozen. He's either frozen or he's in awe. We don't know. I have another question here.
All right.
Oh, this is all right.
Are you back, Mike?
I feel back. I don't know.
Yeah, you're back. Okay, we have a question that's actually for you, and this is from a sheriff in Queens, and it said, "When are you coming back? When are you coming back, Mike? The statute of limitations have expired." What does that mean? No, I'm kidding. Okay. Well, where was this one doesn't come from anybody. It's just a question that says, where was the first place you ever did stand up?
That's a good question. I actually do remember the first time I ever did stand up. It was in Queens. It was a place I had a friend ask me to support him because he wanted to go do an open mic. And it was this place called Nickelodeon on Steinway Street. I forget what year, but I went to support him, and I just remember standing there and going, I'm thinking, God, these open micers. I go, God, these guys suck. And I didn't know, but the guy who booked the show was standing right next to me. And he goes, "Oh, okay, so you're funnier than them, huh?" I go, "Yeah, I'm funnier." And he goes, "Well, why don't you come next week and let's see how funny you are?" So I went next week, and then I was one of the guys that sucked. But I remember I got one laugh. I got one laugh at some dumb joke I had written, and it was hooked. I was like, wow, because it was only because I could always make people laugh. I could make people laugh at work. I could make people laugh in school. I was the class clown, and I couldn't figure out why it wasn't relating on stage. One joke, so I kept going because I had to figure out, and it's that whole circle thing. It's like you start off as the funny guy at work, and then you have to bring that funny guy at work onto stage. You have to learn how to be your natural self on the stage, and that's the process. So
that's what held me back too. By the way, it did, because I was hiding part of myself. I mean, so I was partially true.
Craig, that is not the only thing that held you back. No, just kidding.
Well, also the fact I had no timing and no jokes, but we're not going to talk about that now.
Well, that was the first time for me. I mean, what was the first time for you?
For me?
Yeah.
I went to Stand Up New York in 1987. It was February 8th. I never forgot the day. They were having the funniest actor on Long Island contest.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of those, I guess, on off nights to get to put
Now,
people.
Where was Stand Up New York? Was in the Village, right?
No, up on West 72nd, I think.
West. Okay, I get to all those clubs.
Or 77th. Anyway, I basically went up there. I'd never done stand up before, so what I did was I went up as a ventriloquist, and I go, but I made a mistake. I left my dummy in the cab. So I go, so I'm improvising, and I drew a face on my stomach, and I pull up my shirt, and I go, ladies and gentlemen, please meet Billy Belly. And I would do ventriloquism with my stomach, and I actually had it sing a song too. And of course, when I got to the high notes,
that song?
I forget the song, but I remember when I hit the high notes, I used to shake my stomach. So
I'm looking.
Do you have a videotape of this? We'd like to blackmail.
I do not. I do
We'd
not.
Like to blackmail. We'd like to blackmail you.
I only did it 2 times, by the way. I only did it 2 times. So
I have a question.
So you were like sinuensis with a belly, yeah?
I have a question from all of us. It's from a Roger Hamer from Greatness, New York, that says, "I hope you never have that Papsaginas on the show again."
No, but that's not a question.
That is not a question. That is not a question.
Is he going to be on the show? I will never listen again.
Look, here's the thing about Papsaginas. Okay. He has a show on YouTube called the 13-Week Theater, which I am endlessly entertained by. But I would definitely call that a niche. It's definitely a niche thing where 99.97% of the people who would listen to us and you guys had no interest in knowing what shows only lasted 13 weeks on NBC in 1967. So I defend Pab with he's a very nice.
Listen, he's made time to be on our show. And anyone who does that, man, my hat's off to him.
Hey, I didn't write the question. This came from somebody else.
I understand that, but I can't. So why is this guy so obsessed with Pab? That's what I want.
He didn't give me an A, B, and C.
Well, here I got a question, and it's another Florida question. We must get a lot of Florida fans. It's from Margate, Florida. A guy named John Miller. He wants to know if John is actually related to Mary Tyler Moore. Or is that just some bullshit? Are you actually related?
To
Mary Tyler Moore is what he wants to say.
So that's what he said.
That's what he says.
She is my Mary Tyler Moore is my second cousin.
Wow.
She's your actual second cousin.
Actual second cousin. My mother's first cousin, my second cousin.
And so what's the genius? So it's like she's your father's brother's
No, she's
daughter. No, that would be your first cousin.
She is
see, look, it's taking a minute to think about it.
Yeah, I'm not good on this first, second cousin stuff. I just know my whole life.
First, second cousin.
Well, I just know.
Can you have sex with a second or third cousin? I'm not good.
All right, so my cousin TJ, my cousin TJ is. Oh, I know how. My grandfather's sister was her mother.
Okay.
Your grandfather's sister?
And that makes sense. That's a second cousin. Yeah.
Right.
Did you ever meet her?
Yes. I went to the taping of the Dick Van Dyke Show when she got her toe caught in the faucet.
Oh, I remember that episode. That was a great episode.
It turned out to be a classic.
She wouldn't let anyone in. She was like, she was naked in the tub and she wouldn't let anyone in to get her toe out. That was a great one.
And and I guess at the time it was pretty risque too, because she was like the heartthrob of America. So the fact that people just thought about her being naked in the tub with bubbles was like a big thing.
It's interesting. They have a.
It was Michael Jackson's chimp, Bubbles.
No, Bubbles from
Trailer Park Boys.
From Trailer Park Boys.
What was she doing in the bathtub with Bubbles?
There's a documentary on HBO Max right now about her being Mary Tyler Moore,
and she talks all about my grandfather on it.
Yeah, she did. Oh. Yeah, she did, and they also mentioned They also mentioned with her how she was a sex symbol first because she was on Richard Diamond, Private Eye, and they would just show her legs and
her legs
sultry
when she
voice.
walked by. So when I was growing up, right, and she was just starting to break into show business, the phone would be ringing on a Friday night. Quick, turn on Channel 4. Mary's gonna walk by. And then she was also dancing cigarettes, where she had just her legs came
She
out.
was a dancing hot point.
But not only that,
Yeah,
but
hot
she
point
became
girl. Right, sorry, hot point.
but she became like a female, but not only because of the Mary Tyler Moore Show, which she was an independent woman, whole thing, but she was a businesswoman. I mean, the studio, she had her own like studio or production, whatever it was, production
Grant
that produced
ran that.
tons of other shows.
Yeah, but Grant Tinker ran that, and in the documentary, they talked to her about that. She had no interest in the business side. She wasn't like Lucy. She just wanted to act and perform, and she let Grant do everything with MTM. Just, I mean,
I'll tell you, it was very cool.
That's how influential she was.
I'll tell you, it was very cool. After my grandfather retired, and anything that she did, like any movie that was like Annie was like an MTM production. So my grandfather would be in the movie as an extra, but she'd always like make him wear like a big white hat or something, you know. So
your grandfather was like the Stanley of his day.
Yeah, my grandfather was like, my grandfather's like, oh, I like show business people, I like hanging around, and so she always took care of him. So
well, that's a cool family like heritage
production.
And my grandfather's sister, Bert Hackett, was the president of NBC.
So see, show business is in your blood. Your grandfather, if people don't know, was a.
And I also think, that my grandfather was very wealthy while I was growing up. My grandfather had 2 apartments in New York.
Why do you think we're all nice to you, man? Because we know you. We know you're.
Went on the east side. He had a ski house. He had a summer house in the Hamptons, and when I was 8 years old, I went to stay with him for the weekend in the city. He brought me to Barney's and had 3 custom suits made for me.
Come on, whose grandfather didn't do that, John? Come on.
And my grandfather, but you gotta understand, my grandfather
bought me to Barnes and Nobles and wouldn't even let me buy a book.
My grandfather had 3 daughters, so when I came along, I was like the prodigal son. So I'm sure that's probably what was one of the lures for me to go into show business. Like my grandfather was really successful. Yeah. Mary Tyler Moore was on TV. Yeah. I mean, you don't really think about it, but I'm sure that's in the back of your mind.
Well, see, and that's the thing. See, you got to remember now. I was born and raised in the projects. My father was a warehouse manager. My mother was a legal secretary. There was no, to go into show, you had to be crazy, insane. It wasn't a reality. So when I started to go to do stand-up comedy, they thought I was just insane. They thought I was crazy. It was just a way to dodge, whatever.
Right.
And so one of the proudest moments of my life was when I actually started making money as a comic. Got to bring my father to a show at Chuckles where I opened for Robert Klein. He got to meet Robert Klein. And then I found out when my dad, when he was dying, he was in the hospital. He had heart surgery and he was in bad shape. And I remember coming in and the nurse looked, because my father was, he's that old style guy. He was not the guy that said, no, I love you, I'm proud of you, this, that, and the other thing. Right. But I remember I walked in the room and the nurse went, oh, you're the actor, and she goes, your father just raves. So he raved him about me to her. Right. I found out, so it was like, I was like, wow, I never knew that he'd even see me do anything,
Yeah, that's great.
That's
a great story. Once Eddie Murphy was opening for me at the East Side Comedy Club years ago, and my father came with me to the show. And on the way home, we're in the car, and my dad says to me, that black kid is going to be super famous. Yeah. He goes, he has just got everything. He's got charisma. He's got the look. He's going to be really huge. And to the day my dad died, he'd go, you remember when I discovered Eddie Murphy?
I don't have anything even close to that, except my mom. Back in like 1990, I started touring with Ron Palillo. He played Horshack.
Yes.
He started to come, and I was me, Michelle Lafang, and Ron, and
Did you do the belly button sing?
No, I'm laughing because in Vegas, how everyone has a 2-wall deal or a 4-wall deal. Do you know what that is?
No. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
When
if
gotta
you have
pay
a
for the room and-
casino in Vegas, like George Carlin comes into Bally's when he was alive, he'd do a 4-wall, which meant basically he just rented the room.
Okay.
He got
Yeah.
all the money, right? A
Okay.
2-wall deal is like
You split it.
they get the bar
Right.
and advertising, you get the ticket sales. So there's all these like deals, 2-wall. Michelle
Right.
LaFong had a show in this really little casino. And before she went on, they would pull a curtain around all the slot machines. And then she would come out. It was at the Binion. And Minervini would say to me, "Yeah, you go see Michelle LaFont. She's got a 2-curtain deal."
Oh, God. So I worked with Ron. We did about 10, 12 shows together. And my mom was like blown away that I was working with Horshack. I mean,
did he have to do Horshack on stage? Would they like not leave him alone until he did Horshack?
He didn't do comedy. He would just tell stories, and it wasn't funny. And the thing is, like, the question that people he started off headlining, and it would bomb because he wasn't doing stand up. And by the end of the run, he was coming on. It was called An Evening with Ron Palio, and he would introduce the show. He would tell some stories up front, and then bring on the comics, me and Michelle. But the thing is, what he used to, people would say, "Well, how'd you get? I'm ready to go on. Okay, I'm ready to go on." And they go, "Well, how'd you get the Horshack laugh?" And you go, "Where that came from, actually, is when my grandfather was dying of lung cancer. I would go into his room and he was struggling for breath, and he'd be going, ah, ah, ah. And that's how I got to laugh. Now here's Craig Mitchell, and I had to follow that shit. No, but my mom was really
make you laugh. Is Grandpa dying? Grandpa's death rattle.
But my mom was really impressed when she came to a show, and he couldn't have been freaking. He just like adored her. Gave her an autographed picture. Your son is so talented. Oh, we adore him. He's great. And my mom, that's when my mom was the proudest she ever was of me. It was because of Ron, because Horshack loved me. That was it.
It's cool.
Well, see, do you remember those days though? Back then in Long Island, I know it was only Long Island, but everyone thought they were a comic. I remember there was that wrestler. It was called Mankind. He wore a mask.
Oh, Matt Foley.
I forget what his real name is.
Foley.
Matt Foley.
Matt Foley.
He did stand up comedy. Everyone thought they were. I didn't Joey Fuco get up?
I knew Joey really well.
I remember.
Yeah, he gave it a shot
one time. And
thank you, Hero Week.
He loved the comedians, man.
He had somebody give it a shot for him.
He loved. He used to hang out with the comedy clubs all the time. He loved comedy.
I remember coming off the stage and he was like, "Hey, really funny, man. Just the nicest." I did a film with him years later.
I rented his
film
porn.
that actually won an award.
I knew his dad. I knew his dad really well. His dad died of disgrace when that happened. His father was this old Italian guy. They used to race stock cars at the Freeport stock cars.
Oh my God! Wow. I used to go there all the time in Freeport.
Yeah, his father was a big winger. And when you went to the Joe used to work on my car all the time because I worked in the hospital right next door to the body shop. And the father had all the doors of all his cars in the shop. And then apparently somebody drove by the shop and threw a brick through the window. And the father had a heart attack.
After the whole Amy Fisher thing. That's sad. How are you gonna blame the father for whatever? I mean, that's just stupidity.
Yeah, it was just really crazy.
Listen.
Yeah.
Oh God. No, I'm going to say that whole chapter was a sad whatever it was, but I'm sure it was all fueled by alcohol and drugs and just whatever, because he seemed like a decent. I did a film with him after that. We did it won the Coca-Cola thing, whatever, won an award. It was shown in all the theaters across the country, but the Italian Defamation League had it pulled. It was called Mafia Movie Madness. It's still on you. You could look it up on YouTube.
Right.
And for some reason, the Italian Defamation League got upset at it.
Is that the movie that had the guy from the Kids in the Hall in it?
No.
Okay.
No, but it didn't have anyone. It had like Italian character actors you might recognize, like Joey and a few other guys.
I remember Jimmy Finn had a Memorial Day barbecue for all the comedians and everything. And Joey Buttafuoco lived around the block from him. So after everyone ate, he made like a field trip with all these comedians to go see where Joey Buttafuoco lived. You know, this is where the shooting took place and everything, you know?
Right.
So
right. She came to the wife and shot the wife in the doorway or some shit. Yeah.
So we all go, right? And there's like 20 comics. And Joey comes
looking
out.
To get material.
Hey, Ferrantino, hey, come on to my house, buddy. How you doing? I just turned around and said, fuck you guys. And I went in, I hung out with Joey, had a beer.
Fuck you guys.
Had a beer, some barbecue.
They were like, you know him?
Took a shot in the leg, had a beer, some barbecue, took a shot in the leg. I don't know. Listen,
that is some bizarre story, man. That is just.
It was a bizarre story, but I'm sure it was fueled by weird whatever, you know. I mean,
who is that old
Buttafuoco? Wasn't he on a lot of coke? Wasn't he?
Who was that old bitter comic? He used to be on the Howard Stern show. Pat.
Oh, you're talking about Pat Cooper?
Not Pat Cooper.
Yeah, Pat Cooper.
Pat Cooper.
He's Mary Buttafuoco, beautiful woman. You see, she was a beautiful woman. She had shot in the face. Her face was all contorted. Now she can only give blowjobs on the side.
Oh,
shit.
Pat Cooper. You're talking about Labriola's been friends with Pat Cooper for 1,000 years. We did a show. We did one of Jimmy's shows, Night of 1,000 Guidos. So we'd get all these. It was all headlines. It was Joey Cola, Jimmy. I don't want to say the other dickhead's name. Whatever. Me and some other guys. Al Romero used to do it all the time. And so we do, and then Pat Cooper came to hang out.
How did Al Romero get involved with the Night of Guidos?
How did I get involved? I'm not Italian, but
somebody had to serve the drinks.
So it's all headliners. We're all doing. I think we all did 20 or 25 minutes, and Pat Cooper wasn't on the show. He was in the audience just hanging out. So at the end of the show, Jimmy goes, hey, Pat Cooper's here, and and then I don't know when he goes, hey, Pat, you want to? Pat Cooper comes up after all this after they've seen like 2 hours of comedy. Comes up and he doesn't do an act. He destroys me. He destroys Jimmy. He destroys Al. Every comic, he picked each one of us, and for like 10 minutes each, just fucking destroyed. And it was just hilarious. Pat Cooper's one of the funniest guys.
He is.
He's very funny.
He's fucking insanely funny. He really is.
Yeah.
He was guesting. I used to do a radio show on WGBB on Wednesdays, and on Tuesday, Trusin. No, it wasn't Trusin. It was the boys from Brooklyn. I think it was Labriola and Pace, and they had a show, and they had Pat Cooper on. And I and the thing is, they have you call in at the end of the one show to plug your show the next day. And they go, "Oh, we have Craig Mitchell on the phone." And Pat goes, "Craig Mitchell, what a big homosexual this guy is." And I was totally in the closet at this point. I'm freaking out. I'm like, "How does Pat Cooper know? How does he know?"
He's still alive. He lives in Vegas. I wonder if he's in any shape, man. I could have Jimmy. Jimmy would ask him. I mean, to come on the show if he's like 97 years. I don't know what kind of shape he's in, but maybe I'll give it a shout out. Maybe I'll reach out.
Dude, he would rip us all apart.
And we'd love it. It's just like I remember Buddy Hackett used to live in Roosevelt Island, and we used to go to Roosevelt Island and just to run into him in the stores. People would go to him just so that he would rip you apart. It was like an honor to get. To have him make fun of you. It was just incredible.
It's so funny. Buddy Hackett was filthy, right?
In Vegas. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And all of these old people, right, that complain about comics being dirty, right? All these old, and they go, "Well, who do you think is funny?" They go, "Pat Cooper."
Yeah.
They go, what's his name? We just
all
said,
those old
comics.
They were all filthy. Not all of them, but a lot of them were dirty, filthy, and the same
thing. Red Fox.
Oh, you got to wash your ass. You be amazed at the amount of pollution come out of a hole size no bigger than a dime or a nickel or a quarter. You know your ass better than I do.
You know that famous story of him, right? So there's
famous story.
Yeah, there's a famous Red Fox story. I know this friend. It's a great show. This story. A friend of mine is a trumpet player. An amazing trumpet player. He was the first trumpet in Buddy Miles' band. Okay, so he's amazing.
Buddy Miles.
So they're in.
That's a jazz name.
Yeah,
Buddy Miles.
It is.
How you doing?
So he's in Vegas, and Buddy says, "Listen, if you guys want to take any temporary work, I'm overworked. I'm going to take a month off." So my friend Rusty sees in the paper that Red Fox is looking for musicians. So he says, "I'm so cocky. I show up without even an instrument." And they go, "Did you bring your instrument?" He goes, "No." He goes, "I'm the #1 trumpet in Buddy Miles' band." So he gets the job. Right. right?
Well,
because they know that Buddy Miles is a trumpet player. If you're the number one trumpet in Buddy Miles' band, you got to be good.
You're automatically good. Yeah.
So he says they give him the music, and the band leader is really intense. He's going, listen, man, once this show starts, you keep your eyes on me. Look at me. Look at the music, then look at me. Anything could change during this show. And he goes, I'm looking at the music, and it's like, bam, bam. He goes, it's like nothing. And he goes, so it's 2 a.m. show at the Sands Hotel. And all of a sudden, the curtains are closed. Red Fox is standing on the wings. And all of a sudden, the voiceover goes, and now, ladies and gentlemen, the Sands Hotel and Casino is proud to present the one and only, the legend of comedy, a man who has spanned over 4 generations. And then he goes, a man, the comedy monster, a big kettle drum. Boom, 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 boom. Ladies and gentlemen, Red Fox. And it's like, dun, 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 dun.
Music from the show.
Curtains open. He walks out. There's 17 people in the audience, and he goes, "I don't work for no motherfucking 17 people. 1, 2, 3." He says it happens like funny, 3 times a week. I don't work for no 17 fucking people.
Oh my God.
You dummy. I'm coming a little bit. I'm coming.
Oh, that's some funny stuff.
There he is, man.
So here, I mean, I don't know if you want to do the last email.
Let's do the last question, and then we can call it a day.
I got one actually that was for you. It was somebody wanted to know if you're actually was a sportscaster. They said that that they've heard you say it on the show before that you were. Now I seem to remember that you said you were.
I was definitely a sportscaster kind of lets people believe I was actually doing play-by-play. The truth is,
I think that's what they thought.
What I did is I started working at a little place on Long Island called Yellow Book, and they used to remember the little yellow books you used to get.
Yeah, like a little make-believe.
Wait,
yeah.
Yellow Book, right? Yeah. Yellow Book? No, I never heard of it. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. You wouldn't. But anyway, it would. It
was like a miniature phone book.
Yeah, in the back of the book, they had a number you would call for audio text, where basically if you press, they had sports, news, weather, entertainment, horoscopes, whatever, and you press a 4-digit code and the recording would come on. And I would do the sports on there. And then from there, I went to sports phone.
976 Craig.
976-1313.
Saw the infection connection.
And then what we would do is we would do sportscasting. We'd have like 20. This is back in the 90s. We had 20 satellite dishes, and we had every game on TV at the same time. We would keep score, and every 10 minutes we would go to a booth. We did it in New York, Chicago, and Detroit. And we do a 1-minute recap of all the action, and we do it every 10 minutes. And then when I was there long enough, I became a supervisor, and they started sending me to games. So I would cover Met games, Yankee games.
So did you really was that something you really loved? I mean, like, would you have wanted to be a real like an on-air sportscaster?
No, I really wanted to be an actor, but it was fun to do this. I was doing stand-up at the same time, so it was great. It was great.
But did you ever did you ever try to really pursue being like a sportsaster or not really? Like,
no, I mean, he wanted to be an actor.
No,
he took off for the footlights.
I could have. Like, you know how you make money. A lot of people don't realize how you made money. Like, you would go to a Met game and you have press passes. I didn't hear the joke. Sorry. And you go down.
I started singing Taxi again. He went off to find the footlights.
And
you would go down. You go down to the Met locker room and you would talk to Buddy Harrelson for like 5 minutes, and then you have all this tape. Now, the way I got paid $15 for that. That's it. You got free parking, free admission, but $15.
Wow.
The way you made money is you had to have connections to radio stations all over the country, and you would send you would send them the tape, and they would pay you. That's how you made the money.
Freelance kind of a deal, yeah.
I didn't want to do that shit.
Yeah. Okay,
it was still fun.
I hear you. Yeah, no, it must have been a lot.
And
of
let me
fun,
just say
yeah,
real quick,
lucrative.
My favorite day ever is I was at the Met game, and I was doing comedy that night in Hartford. It was a Saturday. So I'm at the game and I'm covering it and I'm on the field and I'm dressed like I would for stand-up. I had a black coat, whatever. And I looked like Eldon the house painter back then. I was really I had long hair, I had like a mullet and a beard, and I do what I do there, and I drive to Hartford, and I'm in the comedy club in Hartford, and this guy's eating dinner, and he goes, "Dude, weren't you on the field at Shea Stadium today?" That made my friggin' life. I'm like, yes, I was.
That's pretty cool. That room in Hartford, was that right across from the state capitol?
It was
from the
close.
Capitol or something. I remember I played that room. I remember playing that room. I remember if you stood outside, you could see like that official government building, the big,
it was called Brown Thompson initially. Then it became City Steam and became a microbrewery. And the comedy club downstairs was the Blue Ha Ha.
Was the Blue Ha Ha?
The Brew Ha Ha. I love that place. It was a great room. It was small, but it was great. I played that like 40 times. It was great. Loved it.
Oh.
Well, this was fun. This was a fun show.
So wait, before we go, because I have to tell mine. What was the highlight of your career? Like a famous person, like you were saying that your mother, like it was really cool when your father, when your mother saw, you open it with Horseshack. Or, you know what I mean? Like something that really like either impressed you or
who are you asking?
Both of you.
Oh, okay. What was a highlight?
Yeah, something where you went, holy shit.
I've had a couple of those moments. I have one that I know for sure, but if you want to go, Craig, I was
first. I gotta think.
Doing the movie. I was doing the movie Ed TV, which was a Ron Howard movie. And again, like I said, I think Ron Howard and Rick Overton has been a guest on the show. But so here we are on the set. We're on the back lot of Universal. I'm hanging out with Martin Landau. If anyone doesn't know Martin Landau's a freaking legend. Right. And I got to spend a week with him, and I got to know him and be kind of friends and stuff. And I just, stupid question I have asked a lot of people. I said, do you have any advice for a young actor? And we're standing on the back lot at Universal, and he put his arm around my shoulder, and he just said, "Look around." And I looked around, and he went, "You don't need any advice, man." He goes, "You're doing okay." And that was like one of those moments that's so surreal. I was just like, wow. It was like, it's almost like the wind washes through your whole body, and you just feel like one with the universe. It was like, wow, this is cool.
That is cool.
And then another one was we were doing a show, Home Improvement, and I did one of the episodes. I used to hang out on the set all the time, and this was one of the sets where they had Mario Andretti, and Mario and I think Michael Andretti were both there. And after the show, they'd always go out and party afterwards, and there were these couple of places in Burbank. The Equestrian Center was one, whatever. I forget where we were going, but Mario didn't know where it was. He was driving, and so he goes, Jimmy Labrio, he goes, go ahead, jump in the car with Mario and Michael. Show them where the Equestrian Center is. I jump in the car, and I'm driving in through Burbank with fucking Mario Andretti driving. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm sitting next to Michael Andretti. Here's Mario Andretti driving the car. It's like I'm this friggin' poor kid from the projects in Queens hanging out with Mario Andretti. Just unbelievable. Just one of those moments,
That's great.
Mine is way less impressive, but basically I'd have to say it was the moment that I just went right out of my head, so I'm gonna have to go. It was
the glory hole
oh man. No, I guess it's when I was auditioning for Spin City, and I was really like a 2-line role. I was playing a delivery person, and I did it for the casting director in West 57th somewhere. And I did it, and she goes, "That's great. Hey, can you stay? I'd like you to read for the producer." I'm like, and she actually, I think she said read with the producer. I went, "Yeah, sure." Right. I go out into the hall. I'm sitting on this nice leather couch, and she calls me back in. And when I go in, it's Michael J. Fox.
Yeah,
because I'm doing the scene with him, and I do the scene, and he laughs.
Yeah,
and he goes, "Hey," he goes, "Hey, great job, great to meet you." And I shook his hand. I leave. And I walked out of that office 5 feet off the ground going, I just did an audition with Michael J. Fox. I made him laugh. I didn't get the part because I was too tall, but that was like,
right.
I'm doing something right.
Yeah, I got a few of those. Those are awesome moments too, but I don't know if we have time to bring any more of those up today.
We're
what about you, John?
Charlie. We're up against it, Charlie.
Let's go with John's.
Mine's really simple. Mine is like, I mean, traveling with the rock legends. I met like everyone in 60s music, which is very impressive.
You mean traveling with Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Lemongello? Yeah.
And, met so many people. And, and I did a lot of TVs. I met a lot of people. And, my mother, first TV show I was on, I was on with Harvey Korman, who was my mother's favorite in the world. And she got to have a studio picture with him. But the highlight of my career, which I always tell everybody, was went to a fight as Don King's guest and got introduced to Muhammad Ali, and he did a magic trick for me.
Wow, that is fucking awesome. That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah,
because he knew that you were a magician, and he did it.
His daughter, who was stunning, came up to me and said, "They told me you do magic," and I go, "Yeah," and she goes, "My dad does magic. He wants to show you a trick." So I had no idea who it was. I didn't realize that was like Layla, I think is her name.
Layla, Wally.
Yeah.
She's beautiful.
Right? She's beautiful.
Was this while the champ was
still, I know, but he was still pretty good. He was still in pretty good shape,
Yeah. Okay.
And I went over there and he goes, "Hey, magic man, let me show you a magic trick." And it was just, I don't know, it's just like, I just couldn't believe it. Like, I actually was meeting Muhammad Ali, probably,
that's an awesome thing.
Probably one of the most famous people in the world,
Oh, yes. And especially at the time, he was probably the most famous person in the world.
Yeah. So that was something all over, it's like a memory that
I have my Muhammad Ali shirt somewhere, man. Like, I've had it for like 30 years. It's one of those shirts that you just never, anytime we go through clothes and we're trying to sweat to get rid of shit, that shirt never goes anywhere. It's my Muhammad Ali shirt.
Billy Crystal has a video on YouTube where he talks about how he went to Howard Cosell's funeral with Muhammad Ali, and they're sitting in the front, and there's cameras on him because it's Muhammad Ali at Howard Cosell's funeral at his funeral, and it was a closed casket. He goes, and all of a sudden, like with a real loud voice, Muhammad goes, "Billy, you think he's wearing that rug?"
Oh man!
And he goes, "I don't know. It's a closed casket." He goes, "He's so vain. I know he got that rug on." He goes, and the two of us are hysterical laughing at his funeral.
No, that's funny.
All right. Well, this is a fun show.
Yeah,
it was.
Cool. Thanks for all the emails. Send more.
Yes,
the Big Bad Broadcast at gmail.com.
Anything you want to know, any questions you might have, send it in. What's the email?
The Big Bad Broadcast at gmail.com.
There you go. The Big Bad Broadcast at gmail.com.
Send us more questions. Send us anything.
Money.
And money. Put $10 and put $10 in it so it'll get read.
Yeah, send us nudes.
What?
All right, man. Wrap it up.
Whatever it is, the Federal Communication will be coming after us.
Yeah, I know.
Solicit money.
You can't solicit nudes.
But don't order yet.
All right. Well, let's say goodbye, guys, and we'll see everybody next week. Same bad station.
Next Friday.
And I am going to celebrate my birthday.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday,
John.
It's all right. You don't have to bother
you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, dear John.
Happy birthday,
all right,
John. Happy birthday.
So good. We're so
Talk
good.
to you later. Bye-bye.
Check us out on the podcast playground. All right, later.